I call them vicious dogs. I call Soleimani a vicious dog because they are the vicious dogs, and they have taken over my country for the last 40 years. So I'm ecstatic, and I'm so happy that finally this vicious dog has been killed, number one. So I'm really happy about that. I just wanted to share that with you.
Well, and I'm glad you have, because it was one of the first sort of wake-up calls for me as I tried to read into these issues this morning. And the journalist Oz Katerji, who I will be talking to later, points out at length that people will be celebrating this assassination throughout the Middle East. They took to the streets at 4 o'clock in the morning in Iraq, and you remind us that for an awful lot of Iranian exiles, and indeed for people still living under the yoke of this fundamentalist regime, this will be welcomed. And it's so hard, and I think I tried to encapsulate it best when I pointed out that I think it was Soleimani that went to Russia in 2015 and tried to persuade Putin to get involved in Syria. And so he's simultaneously, they fight ISIS. They are enemies of ISIS and enemies of America. So this slightly lazy habit we've fallen into in the West lately of thinking that everything is black and white and binary couldn't be less true on a day like today.
No, it's a shades of grey, and I represent the shades of grey. And in fact, what is really covered here in the UK is, all right, the Ayatollah Khamenei and Soleimani. Well, I'm not one of them. They've taken my country away from me. They have for the last 40 years, and I have lived here for so long, and I'm in exile still, and I want to go back, but I can't go back.
But this doesn't this doesn't make the overthrow of Khamenei's regime any more likely, does it?
Definitely not. When there was a war, there was an 8-year or 7-year-old with millions of people that were killed between Iran and Iraq, and that was around before. That's how I ended up here, because they were actually. Iraqi president at the time, he was just bombarding Tehran and so on, and so my parents actually made sure that I came here safely. Gosh. But since then, I'm just basically, I've been living in the between, in what do you call it, when you're in between places. So I've been in
limbo.
In that place, limbo. I've been living in limbo, and hey, congratulations, you guys are suffering in limbo in a Brexit. Well, good luck with you guys.
Well, I mean, thank goodness that our limbo is not a matter of life and death. Your limbo, of course, arguably is.